Until we understand the secrets of how our reality is being manifested, our destiny and the destiny of this beautiful planet will be in the hands of our rulers who do understand it.
With a waistcoat and a watch.
Oh, my fearing whiskers! I'm late!
Now, this is curious. What could a rabbit possibly be late for? Please, sir!
I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late.
It must be awfully important, like a party or something. Mr. Rabbit, wait!
No, I'm overdue. I'm really in a stew. No time to say goodbye. Hello, I'm late.
My, what a peculiar place to have a party. You know, Dinah, we really shouldn't be doing this.
It's never too late to step out of your comfort zone and journey down the rabbit hole. Where does the rabbit hole lead? It leads you to 10 powerful awakenings. The first awakening is realizing that there is no physical world. The physical world is no more solid and real than the physical world in an animated movie or the physical world you experience in your dreams. The idea that the physical world is an illusion of our senses is the hardest scientific fact for most people to grasp, because everything we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell tells us there is a solid physical world out there.
All the information that we have about the external world is conveyed to us by our 5 senses. The world we know of consists of what our eyes see, our ears hear, our noses smell, our tongues taste, and our hands feel. Man is dependent on only those 5 senses since birth. That is why he knows the external world only the way it is presented by these senses. The act of seeing is realized progressively. At the instance of seeing, light clusters called photons travel from the object to the eye and pass through the eye lens, where they are refracted and focus on the retina at the back of the eye. Here, rays are turned into electrical signals and then transmitted by neurons to the center of vision at the back of the brain. The act of seeing actually takes place in this center in the brain. All the images we view in our lives and all the events we experience are actually experienced in this tiny and dark place. Both the film you are now watching and the boundless landscape you see when you gaze at the horizon actually fit into this place of a few cubic centimeters. Let us suppose that in front of us there is a burning candle and we view its light. During this period, when we view the candle's light, the inside of our skull and our brain are in absolute darkness. The light of the candle never illuminates our brain and our center of vision. However, we watch a colorful and bright world inside our dark brain. The same situation applies to all our other senses. Sound, touch, taste, and smell are all perceived in the brain as electrical signals. Therefore, our brains throughout our lives do not confront the original of the matter existing outside us, but rather an electrical copy of it formed inside our brain. It is at this point that we are misled by assuming these copies are instances of real matter outside us. While you watch this film, you are in truth not inside the room you assume yourself to be in. On the contrary, the room is inside you. Your seeing your body makes you think that you are inside of it. However, you must remember that your body, too, is an image formed inside your brain.
When you are dreaming, you are experiencing a physical world that you can see, hear, touch, taste, feel, and interact with. You experience your dream world as solid and physically real. People and events are happening all around you. When you're awake, you're also interacting with a solid physical world that you experience as real and all around you. The truth is, your physical world in your awake state is no more physically real than the one in your dream state.
This suggests that we may well be awoken from the life on earth, which we think we are living right now, just as we are awoken from a dream.
There are as many different ways of seeing and experiencing the world as there are species of life in the universe. The reality that other species see and perceive is very different from humans. We perceive only a tiny fraction of what's really there. Many animals can see in the dark, and they can hear and smell things far beyond the range of our human senses. Snakes have organs sensitive to the infrared range of the electromagnetic spectrum. They see the heat emitted by their prey. If you were a dolphin or a whale, you would have sonar vision and you would see the shapes and movements of a person's heart and internal organs. The realities that other species experience are totally unknown to our human experience. What we believe to be reality is just the unique way our human brain interprets energy waves. Everything in the universe vibrates. At lower vibrational frequencies, there's infrared radiation, microwaves, and radio waves. At higher vibrational frequencies, there's ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. These waves are invisible to the human eye. Okay, so if everything is just vibrating empty space, why does the world look, sound, feel, and seem so solid? To get in touch with the world of energy, close your eyes for a few seconds and feel the hardness of the chair you're sitting on. The only reason your body doesn't pass right through the chair is because there's a collision between the vibrating densely packed atoms of your body and the vibrating densely packed atoms of the chair you're sitting on.
If you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out, a golf ball-sized awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball-sized wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness. And when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us. And it's right at the source and base of mind, right at the source of thought, and it's also at the source of all matter.
There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Matter seems like a good place to begin. The solidity of the world seems totally indisputable. As a fixed thing that you can see and touch, your body is also reassuringly solid. But beginning with Einstein, modern physics has assured us that this solidity is a mirage.
All of physical matter, everything we have around us, is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
It's as if reality is so connected that when you look at one small part, you can see things about other parts. That the entire whole is contained in the part. And in a sense, you can't divide reality up because we're cutting up a hologram. We can't find where one particle is because it's always a reflection of all particles.
In a hologram, the whole pattern is whole and complete unto itself, and if you were to take any little portion of this whole out and examine it closely, you will see the entire pattern repeating itself again and again and again. Anywhere in this pattern, if we were to change one little aspect on any one of these little holograms, that change would be reflected throughout the entire system.
Quantum physics has revealed what ancient masters knew. Matter does not exist. The concept of substance arose from the philosophy of Aristotle. And from that concept came science's conception of matter. The fact of the matter is that the substance of the universe is consciousness. Belief that the substance of the universe is matter leads to what I call a fear-greed dichotomy. As people in their quiet desperation attempt to accumulate as many material possessions and riches as possible. In fact, the substance of the universe is consciousness. Therefore, it is behavior that is important.
If you get into the realms of fear, fear is a very slow, dense vibrational state. And the more you embody fear, and the whole of this manipulated society is globally is structured to make us fear, to make us have stress, to make us worry about tomorrow, and have guilt about yesterday, and forget about now. It brings us into a slow vibrating dense state.
We should be very careful about what we believe about the future. The more you attach to a belief system, the more, if reality is holographic, you're helping create it by believing it. And you know, the great clairvoyant Edgar Cayce said that our every thought, that reality is built out of thought, and our every thought starts to build reality, and we're like, every thought is like a spider, we're like spider spinning web, and that web starts to build and build.
And what the science now is showing is that when you can change the field that the atom is in, you change the atom, and we're made of those atoms. So when we have feelings in our hearts, we're changing the field that connects the stuff everything is made of, and we literally are altering our physical reality.
Consciousness is the programming language of the universe. We are consciousness conductors. That's what we do. That's who we are. Consciousness comes through us. It emanates from us. We are the creators. We are the ones who are targeted on this planet because we are the ones who transmit the reality just like everybody else does. If you switch your brain off and you are sucked into the mainstream media illusion, we must understand that we are being used because we create reality. So if we are manipulated in a certain way, and if we are modulated in a certain way, then our creation becomes not ours but somebody else's.
Despite all of these scientific facts, we remain stuck in the belief that the world is made of matter and that space and time are true dimensions of reality. Once you awaken to the fact that space and time are really dimensions of your consciousness, you realize that the world is in you and not you in the world. During a science class on quantum physics, Carl interrupted his teacher. "Let me get this straight," said Carl. "Are you telling us that we are just recycled, reused atoms, just tiny, meaningless, temporary specks of dust in an uncaring universe?" "Well, Carl," said the teacher, "to be quite blunt about it, the atoms you're made of may once have been part of an Egyptian pharaoh or a dinosaur, and when you die, you'll either rot or burn. Some of your atoms may find their way into a cow or a tree or even another human being." "There's more to me than goddamn atoms," yelled Carl. "I've got a mind of my own and my own fucking opinions. I don't care what bullshit science is saying. Watch your language, young man, scolded the teacher. The mind is nothing more than the operation of your brain's physics and chemistry. That's the god-awful truth, and you'll just have to accept it.
Blah, blah, blah. Shut up, you bitch.
What did you just call me?
Bitch.
Is that what your parents taught you to respect elders, Carl?
Here she goes again. Is that what your parents blah blah blah? I'm tired of hearing that, you stupid fucking moron.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare me? I'm tired of following what you say. You are always the boss of this class. Well, you're not the boss of me.
Get on with your work. Repeat after me. An acre is the area of a rectangle whose length is 1 furlong and whose width is 1 cubit.
Need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teacher, leave them kids alone. Hey! Teacher, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Oh, do it again. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. Is the area of a rectangle whose length is 1 furlong and whose width is 1 cubit.
What if I should fall right through the center of the earth? Oh. And come out the other side where people walk upside down? Oh, but that's silly. Nobody...
The second awakening is the realization that there are 2 parallel realities. Let's explore the one we're least familiar with. Look away from the screen for a minute. Look at different objects in the room and become aware of the sounds you hear and the sensations you feel in your body. Even though you may understand scientifically that everything you are sensing is happening inside, not outside your brain, you're still convinced that you're looking out at a solid physical world. Okay, let's look at some cracks in that belief. See this cube drawing? Right now, your brain is misinterpreting the sensory data it's receiving from your eyes. Are you looking at the cube from above it or from below it? You'll probably answer from above it. To view the cube from a new perspective, focus your attention completely on the back square. Now pull the back square forward to the front of the cube with your mind's eye so that it becomes the front square. Can you see it now? Your brain is misleading you in another way. It's registering a three-dimensional image. The truth is, you're looking at 12 lines on a flat screen. The depth of the cube looks very real to you, but it isn't. It's not a cube, and it has no depth whatsoever. Need more proof? Okay. When you're sitting at your computer, you think you're moving the cursor around on the screen, right? Wrong. You're actually sending a stream of data to your computer's central processor with your mouse. It looks like you're moving the cursor around, but there's a tiny processing delay that you can't detect. Like the undetectable tiny delay on your computer screen, there's a tiny undetectable delay in what you experience in your everyday life. When you kiss someone, for example, your brain communicates a message to your lips to move your lips to meet the lips of someone else, but you never directly experience contact with the other person's lips. The contact information must first be sent back to your brain through your sense of touch. It takes about 1/5 of a second for your brain to register the impression that you are interacting directly with the physical world of illusion. Remember the last time you went to the movies? While you were sitting in the movie theater, you got involved with the characters and the action on the screen. You laughed or cried or felt happy or sad as the story unfolded. You reacted to the action and the characters on the screen as though they were really there. The truth is, there were no characters and no action. There was just the projector projecting light through pictures at 24 frames per second. Your mind and your eyes were tricked into seeing a make-believe world on the screen, which is entirely an illusion of movement and time. It isn't real, and yet, there it is. Like the make-believe world of film that is projected onto a movie screen, reality is also a projection. But the screen is inside your brain, not outside. Think of a movie projector's light as source energy. Think of your brain as the projector. Think of the film that the light shines through as the energy waves of everything you've ever seen, heard, thought, or experienced. Think of your mind as the projectionist that selects what you focus on, while your brain, the projector, projects your reality onto your mental movie screen. Since your birth, every bit of information from government, church, school, the media, family members, and others has been downloaded into your consciousness and constructs your perception of reality. You have imported billions and billions of beliefs about what's real and what's not real, about what you should or shouldn't be or wear or say. You accept those beliefs as the gospel truth, and you wear them like clothes. Since childhood, you've been downloading disempowering beliefs about the way you look, your body, your intelligence, God, sin, life, death, morality, and class. If you stop and look closely at your beliefs, you'll discover that instead of serving you, they serve the corporate rulers. Although you may feel immune to the influence of television and media propaganda, your immunity is overpowered by the repetition of messages and subliminals that burrow into your subconscious just below your conscious radar.
Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business.
But man, you're never going to get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell. We'll tell you that Kojak always gets the killer and that nobody ever gets cancer in Archie Bunker's house. And no matter how much trouble the hero is in, don't worry, just look at your watch. At the end of the hour, he's going to win. We'll tell you any shit you want to hear. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Most of the time, you're running on automatic pilot. What your mind focuses on, perceives, believes, and expects is by default, not by choice. In other words, the projector is controlling the projectionist. The path to controlling your own destiny is learning how to switch your consciousness from default mode to manual mode. Just in case you believe that you're in control of the projector and what's being projected, ask yourself this: how would my life be different if I had a genie in a bottle granting my every wish? What would you wish for? Fame, fortune, youth, power, beauty, passion, love? Wait a minute. Is that what you really want? Or is that what you've been programmed to believe will make you happy? Think of all the examples of people with fame, fortune, youth, power, beauty, passion, and love who contradict that belief. The path to fulfillment is deleting the programmed beliefs about who you are and what this reality is all about. It begins with silencing your mind.
It's a revolutionary transformation to be able to perceive and to relate to the world without the baggage, the accumulated baggage in your mind. Which means you're free of the entire person that you thought of as yourself, which is the sum total of your conditioning, which you carry around. It becomes a burden, the heavy me, the burden of that person trying to find some fulfillment or some answer or some release through the future and never getting there. And in the meantime, acting out in continuous repeat performances, day after day, acting out the conditioning from the past and hoping that the future is going to get better. How can it? The future is just going to be a continuation of the past because you're acting it out every moment. It can't get better as long as you're trapped in the conditioned. It's amazing, but it's so simple to get out of it, but nobody seems to know it, or very few people. Why is that? It's almost like a conspiracy. Let's not mention liberation. It's so simple to become free of the limited, little conditioned person. And every person is a little person, even if you're the president of this or that. It's very limiting, and one day you will no longer be the president, and then you'll get old, and suddenly your social function isn't there anymore, your social position is gone. Oh, who am I now? Just an old man. It's so simple to go beyond, so no longer to seek fulfillment through the conditioning, to make it better, to become a bigger person, to become a more important person, to wait for the world to tell you that you are important, that you are somebody. You mean you don't have to go to some monasteries in the Far East or spend 20 years in arduous meditation practice, or take a course of study that goes on for years and then get a certificate. It's amazing that it's so, that the entry into that is so simple. And this is a practice that you do for yourself, at home, at any time. Sit, connect with either the entire energy field of the body, or if that's still difficult, one part of the body. Hold attention there, hold it, continue to feel it, and then begin to perceive and look around the room, or listen and look, and you will see the compulsion to label or to run away from this moment, which is the mind, isn't there. So you're allowing this to be totally. Underneath the perceptions, there is an intense aliveness. That is the secret. Underneath all your sense perceptions, and even if still some thoughts come floating in and out, it doesn't matter. Underneath that, there's an incredible energy field.
I hardly know, sir. I've changed so many times since this morning, you see.
I do not see. Explain yourself.
I'm afraid I can't explain myself, sir, because I'm not myself, you know.
I do not know.
Well, I can't put it any more clearly, for it isn't clear to me.
You? Who are you?
Well, don't you think you ought to tell me who you are first?
Why?
Oh, dear. Everything is so confusing.
It is not.
Well, it is to me.
The third awakening is the realization that reality is a 3D software program that humans are sharing collectively.
You know, as a lawyer, I was representing a bunch of technology companies in the 1990s, and these companies were working with binary code, ones and zeros, doing phenomenal things with ones and zeros. The gamers, the multimedia guys, the website guys, the dot-commers, that was doing incredible things with binary code. Well, one day I woke up to the reality of what DNA is, the digital code that's inherent in all living things, all organic life on Earth. From a palm tree to a rose bush to an elephant to you and I. It's just instead of binary code, which is 2 digits, we've got DNA 4-digit code. If you were to put all of the code into books, you could fill the Grand Canyon a few times over with just the digital instructions, the code that's inherent in you and I. Now, beyond the code itself, what about the application software that's reading this code? That's interpreting this code to develop one kind of cell to be an eye cell, and another kind of cell to be a skin cell, and another kind of cell to be something to do with the lungs, and another cell to be something to do with the brain. It is phenomenal. We have this incredible storehouse of all these genetic instructions. But what's the language convention, this shared language convention that's reading this code. It boggles my mind. So I really did wake up one day to the fact that where does information come from? Can it arise randomly by chance out of some primordial goop? Or does information code have to be programmed? Does it actually have to be written as any other code that we deal with today? So I just ask you to think on that. Francis Crick was one of the co-discoverers of the DNA molecule in the 1950s. And he couldn't really reconcile what he discovered with DNA with his naturalistic, materialistic, atheistic philosophy. You see, he knew information code couldn't just pop out of the primordial goop. Information code has to be written. So he created these spores from outer space theory, which basically says alien cultures must have launched it here millions and millions of years ago to somehow start the process on a prebiotic Earth. Huh. Sounds like quite a scientific, no, rather a philosophical conjecture there. But I just ask you guys to check this stuff out for yourself.
Okay, let's check things out for ourselves. Let's ask a genius for his expert opinion. According to Bill Gates, DNA is like a software program, only much more complex than anything we've ever devised. Well, if DNA is a more complex software program than anything we humans can devise, then what non-human software developer developed it? According to the ancient Sumerian tablets, the non-human software developer's name was Enki, which means Lord of the Earth. Enki used an emblem of two entwined serpents, which represents the double helix of human DNA. The Sumerian records document how Enki created humans as a slave race through genetic experimentation. But where's the proof? The proof can be found in the Human Genome Project. Over the past few decades, molecular biologists have been carefully mapping human DNA, which has about 25,000 genes.
In 1953, two men became famous for figuring out the structure of DNA.
Check it out.
Rolled up a helix. Their names are James Watson and Francis Crick. And during their discovery, they noticed that the DNA structure resembled a twisted coil known as the infamous double helix. Watson and Crick's discovery paved the way for DNA research and led the scientific community to take a deeper look into the world of genes and heredity. In 1990, the Department of Energy and the National Institutes of Health, in collaboration with several countries worldwide, began conducting perhaps the biggest biology experiment ever, which sought to map out our DNA. They called this colossal endeavor the Human Genome Project. It is amazing to think about how our DNA has the instructions for making us who we are. But what is even more amazing is that DNA is made up of only 4 chemicals. That's right, just 4 chemicals. When it comes time for these 4 bases to find a partner and pair up, there are rules. A's only bond with T's, and C's only bond with G's. DNA code for genes varies only 1.5% to that of a chimpanzee. That's 98.5% of the DNA that make up human genes. The similarity of human genes compared to mouse genes is about 85%, and about 50% with a banana.
The most startling discovery from the Human Genome Project is that 250 of our human genes are unique. They are not found in any lower species or in any known terrestrial life form. So if 250 of our genes are not of terrestrial origin, and since they can't be traced to a lower species, did they come from a higher species of extraterrestrial origin? We already know that 98.9% of our human genes are identical to chimpanzees. In fact, we are so closely related to chimps that we can actually give and receive blood transfusions. Intuitively, we know that we're not evolved apes. Intuitively, we know that we didn't come down from the trees and just get smarter over time.
There are billions of galaxies in the observable universe, and each of them contains hundreds of billions of stars. In one of these galaxies, orbiting one of these stars, lies a little blue planet. And this planet is run by a bunch of monkeys. Now, these monkeys don't think of themselves as monkeys. They don't even think of themselves as animals. In fact, they love to list all the things that they think separate them from the animals. Opposable thumbs, self-awareness. They use words like Homo erectus and Australopithecus. You say tomato, I say tomato. They're animals, all right. They're monkeys. Monkeys with high-speed digital fiber optic technology, but monkeys nevertheless. I mean, they're clever. You've got to give them that. The pyramids, skyscrapers, phantom jets, the Great Wall of China, that's all pretty impressive. For a bunch of monkeys. Monkeys whose brains have evolved to such an unmanageable size that it's now pretty much impossible for them to stay happy for any length of time. In fact, they're the only animals that think they're supposed to be happy. All of the other animals can just be. But it's not that simple for the monkeys. You see, the monkeys are cursed with consciousness, and so the monkeys are afraid. So the monkeys worry. The monkeys worry about everything, but mostly about what all the other monkeys think. Because the monkeys desperately want to fit in with the other monkeys. Which is pretty hard to do, because a lot of the monkeys hate each other. This is really what separates them from the other animals. These monkeys hate. They hate monkeys that are different, monkeys from different places, monkeys who are a different color. You see, the monkeys feel alone. All 6 billion of them. Some of the monkeys pay another monkey to listen to their problems. The monkeys want answers, and the monkeys know they're going to die, so the monkeys make up gods, and then they worship them. Then the monkeys start to argue over whose made-up god is better. Then the monkeys get really pissed off, and this is usually when the monkeys decide that it's a good time to start killing each other. So the monkeys wage war. The monkeys make hydrogen bombs. The monkeys have got their entire planet wired up to explode. The monkeys just can't help it. Some of the monkeys play to a sold-out crowd of other monkeys. The monkeys make trophies and then they give them to each other, like it means something. Some of the monkeys think they've got it all figured out. Some of the monkeys read Nietzsche. The monkeys argue about Nietzsche without ever giving any consideration to the fact that Nietzsche was just another monkey. The monkeys make plans. The monkeys fall in love. The monkeys have sex, and then they make more monkeys. The monkeys make music, and then the monkeys dance. Dance, monkeys, dance! The monkeys make a hell of a lot of noise. The monkeys have so much potential if they would only apply themselves. The monkeys shave the hair off of their bodies in blatant denial of their true monkey nature. The monkeys build giant monkey hives that they call cities. The monkeys draw a lot of imaginary lines in the dirt. The monkeys are running out of oil, which is what fuels their precarious civilization. The monkeys are polluting and raping their planet like there's no tomorrow. The monkeys like to pretend that everything is just fine. Some of the monkeys actually believe that the entire universe was created for their benefit. As you can see, these are some messed up monkeys. These monkeys are at once the ugliest and the most beautiful creatures on the planet. And the monkeys don't want to be monkeys. They want to be something else.
If the ancient Sumerian records are correct, then what makes us similar yet so different from other ape species is that we've been crossbred with them into alien ape hybrids. Another startling discovery from the Human Genome Project is that 97% of our human DNA is junk DNA, or non-coding DNA, with no known use or function. What? Humans are 97% junk? Trash? Garbage? It appears that our extraterrestrial software developers purposely forgot to code 97% of our DNA and left us to exist as a subservient race on only 3% of our DNA. Could it be that our useless, uncoded junk DNA is really divine DNA with a built-in connection to the ageless wisdom of the universe? Have we been switched off from our divine potential? If the three-dimensional reality we are experiencing right now is just a 3D software program running on 3% of its capacity, then is this reality really a virtual reality? The only difference between the so-called real world and a virtual world is the sophistication of the software. So far, we humans haven't figured out how to download our virtual reality games that we've developed onto our brain's hard drive. But if we could, we'd experience the games as entirely real. Think about the difference between your real experience of the real world and your simulated experience of a simulated world. Does your life have any importance beyond your brain's perceptions of what you're experiencing? Are our so-called real experiences, which are often unpleasant, more valuable than simulated ones?
Avatar's nothing. There's a new virtual world turning heads, but only this virtual world requires heavier equipment and a giant sphere. RT's Anastasia Churkina shows us the future of gaming, great, courtesy of two Russian inventors.
About a taste of full immersion into virtual reality. This is Virtusphere.
Behind you, behind you.
At first glance, it looks like a hamster ball for humans. But in reality, it's a one-of-a-kind gadget by Russian-born inventors, the Latipov brothers.
It's a lot of aliens around. Ooh.
It is the world's first fully immersive virtual reality locomotion simulator.
You see, I'm wearing head-mounted display and now I'm inside this environment. If I turn my head, I will see environment around me.
Sensors and wireless receivers connect the gamer to what's going on inside the virtual action, allowing 360-degree movement at the same time. Being 10 feet tall, Virtusphere allows a user of any size to delve into any type of new reality, from virtual tourism to complete presence inside the computer game being played.
Virtual reality developers are busy developing new technologies capable of stimulating your brain directly using a brain chip linked to a computer system. By 2020, virtual reality technology is expected to reach a level of sophistication that will blur the line between what we call the real world and simulated worlds.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
It's the question that drives us, Neo.
What is the Matrix? It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. You are a slave born into a prison for your mind.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy.
Try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
Popular science fiction movies like The Matrix portray characters lost and confused in a world of simulation. To escape, they have to figure out which world is real.
The Matrix movies I found very interesting. There were lots of very good symbolism in there. where the Neo character is told by the Morpheus character that he's a slave and that he needs to recognize he's a slave. And that's the first step to freedom. The first step to freedom within this gathering Orwellian world is to realize that we are in a gathering Orwellian world, because once that realization comes, then we start to see the bars. We're no longer sitting in a cell without bars thinking we're free. We can start to see the bars. Once you see the bars, you can start to think, well, what do I do about it? And then the next thing, that we want to be free. That we don't want to be sheep anymore. That we want to take our minds back. That we want to have our own opinions and our own views, and not those that are bombarded at us daily through education and through the media and all the other sources of so-called information. And then there's the transformation, where you open your mind and break the spell that so many people are under, the hypnotic spell of seeing the world in a certain way. And when you realize, or you start to transform, you realize a staggering fact, which the cutting edge of science is now beginning even to identify, that this world we think is physical is an illusion. And when you start to identify that this body, this vehicle, this biological computer is who we are, you get locked in the 5 sense prison pretty damn fast. Once you realize you are consciousness having an experience through this physical body, your mind starts to open and see that we are infinite. All matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration. We're all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is just a dream, and we are the imagination of ourselves. And the key to mass control is the manipulation of the imagination of ourselves.
During the 2008 presidential election of Barack Obama, CNN showcased its first interview with a hologram. Reporter Jessica Yellen was holographically beamed from Chicago into CNN's New York studio.
There are 35 high-definition cameras ringing me, in a ring around me. I'm in the center, and they shoot my body at different angles, and I'm told that transmits what looks like an entire body image back there to New York. These cameras, I'm told, talk to the cameras in New York, so they move, and they know when to move when the cameras in New York move, and it looks a little different from a real person there, but it's pretty remarkable.
It's still Jessica Yellen, and you look like Jessica Yellen, and we know you are.
The world of sounds and images that we believe is real is just coded information energy. This DVD you're watching right now is a shiny disc of coded information. How do the sounds and images get onto the disc? The DVD disc has divots in it which create a series of ones and zeros called binary code. When enough ones and zeros are strung together, their pattern creates data which contains sound and image information. A laser reads the data, which is then projected onto the screen in front of you. Once your ears and eyes input the light and sound waves of information energy and it reaches your brain quickly decodes it and projects it onto your brain's mental movie screen. What you're really watching right now is information energy that your brain's software is busy decoding for you. Without code, there would be no internet, no DVDs, no TV, no phones, and without code, there would be no reality for you to perceive. Creating a new reality for yourself begins with redefining the word real. The physical world is no more physically real than a 3D computer game. It's an illusion of your sense perceptions, and you can change it by changing the way you perceive it.
had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see?
The fourth awakening is the realization that reality is a game. It's a game of make-believe that we are made to believe is real.
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
All of this really is just a great illusion.
Are people affecting the world of reality that they see? You betcha they are.
What is reality? What is reality?
Have you ever thought about what thoughts are made of?
It is so mysterious you can't explain it. The real trick to life is not to be in the know, but be in the mystery.
The experiment shows something really rather extraordinary, and that is that matter, even though it behaves when you're looking at it, when you're measuring it as individual particles, when you're not measuring it, matter is diffuse. It spreads out. It doesn't have a finite form in the universe.
These basic rules of quantum mechanics apply to all tiny subatomic particles. When we look at them, they are just dots. When we look away, they lose their physical form.
A different way of looking at that is to say, well, how parallel is this behavior with what I see in my PlayStation 3 when I'm playing a video game? In a PlayStation 3, an example of that is SimCity. It's an enormous city. I can navigate my way through every bit of it because the PlayStation, the video game, gives me the frame that I need when I'm looking there. If I look somewhere else, it'll create that frame. Well, oddly enough, the universe behaves that way in reality. The universe gives you what you're looking at when you're looking at it. When you're not looking at it, it's not necessarily there.
Our world is pixelated and only assumes definite form when observed, the very same way our computer simulations behave. Rich Terrell has tried to work out the probability that we might be living in a simulation.
The Sims computer game imitates our make-believe reality. In this open-ended game, you get to play God. You create a lifelike world filled with family dynasties, houses, and neighborhoods. You create and choose the personalities, appearances, and lifestyles of the characters, and you direct their journey from infancy through to adulthood. Your influence over their lives causes positive or negative outcomes as you make their world come to life.
Nice.
Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one, said Einstein. So, if our reality is just a sophisticated game of illusion, like the Sims computer game, are the people in our lives also an illusion? And what about me? Since I'm playing the leading role in this reality mirage, am I an illusion too? The answer, according to Eastern philosophy, is yes and no. There are two yous. There's the ego you and the egoless you. The egoless you is the formless, infinite, authentic you. It's the you behind the curtain of form. The ego you is the illusion. It's the you that identifies with the make-believe finite world of form. At this very moment, you are identified with the ego you. You are attached to your personal his-story, the story of me. You define yourself with words and concepts that you learn through language. You are your name, age, race, gender, nationality, height, weight, employment, educational and financial status, and a host of other artificially defining concepts that have nothing whatsoever to do with who you really are. You can change every single one of those statistics, and yet you are still you. You can also change your body, and you are still you. Your physical body has nothing to do with the authentic you. 98% of your body renews itself every 7 years. You get a new stomach lining every 4 days, new skin every 30 days, a new liver in 6 weeks, and a new skeleton and blood every 3 months. Remember the body you had as a child? It's not the same body you have now, and yet you are still you. William Shakespeare's ghostwriter wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Whether you like them or not, the actors you encounter on life's theatrical stage are all dimensions of you. The separation you feel between you, others, and your surroundings is an illusion." Not convinced? Okay. Think about where your body's oxygen, calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc, and other elements come from. They were formed by nuclear fusion inside giant stars. We are literally made of stardust. Think about the air you inhale and exhale every minute of your life, the nutrients you absorb from soil, plants, and water. You are your environment. Still not convinced that there is no separation between you and everything else? If you live to be 90, you will have spent about 30 years of your life sleeping. Where did all those strange people, places, and stories come from in your dreams? Who's writing, producing, and directing the dramas you star in every night? The answer is you. You did. They are all dimensions of you. The only difference between the places and people you meet in your dreams and the ones you meet in your waking state are your beliefs about what's real and not real. While you are immersed in your dream world, you believe the people you meet are real. You also believe the people you meet in your waking world are real. If you believe you are the creator of your dream world and that you created it from your imagination, did your imagination also create your waking world? This raises an even more challenging question. Did your imagination create you? If so, which you is the creator you, and which you is the created you? The creator you is the infinite, authentic, egoless you. In its infinite wisdom, the egoless you created an educational playground for itself. Everything in the educational playground is relative. There's no big without small to compare it to. There's no heroes without villains, no hot without cold, no down without up, near without far, joy without suffering, and there's no love without hate to compare it to. Love, joy, peace, and harmony only exist in relation to their opposites. But why would the egoless me create a world filled with pain and suffering? Because pain and suffering, aging and illness are our teachers. They deepen and humble us and bring us closer to discovering our authentic, egoless self. Evil is also our teacher. It challenges us, tempts us, and teaches us our biggest lessons. So, if reality is a game of make-believe, then what's the object of the game? How do we win it? Although we are cast in many roles throughout our lifetime, from child to teenager to parent, grandparent, and dozens of other roles, we really only have two important roles to play. We are teachers, energy transmitters, and we are students, energy receivers. We are constantly teaching through our words and actions, and we are constantly learning through the words and actions of others. Winning is all about teaching, learning, and evolving, even when the lessons are painful.
We don't want to get spanked. Yeah, we promise we'll be good.
Too late. You stole, and then you lied. Even worse, you made me look bad in front of Mrs. McCluskey, who you know is Mommy's sworn enemy. Time to pick your poison. How about a belt? It's a classic. Well, we could go with the old hickory stick. It's a cliche, but it's pretty effective. I know. We'll go with the spatula. The holes give it less wind resistance. Moves faster.
No!
Guys, hey, my hands are tied. Thieves get spanked. Just the way it works. Unless...
Unless what?
For a first-time offense, if you swear, cross your heart, that you will never, never steal again, and you write Mrs. McCluskey a letter of apology, I will let it slide.
Okay, we swear!
Nothing's impossible. Why don't you try the bottle on the table?
Table? Oh!
Read the directions, and directly you'll be directed in the right direction.
Drink me. Better look first. For if one drinks much from a bottle marked poison, it's almost certain to disagree with one sooner or later.
Beg your pardon?
I was just giving myself some good advice. But... tastes like cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey. Goodness! What did I do?
You almost went out like a candle.
But look, I'm just the right size.
Oh, no use. I forgot to tell you. I'm locked.
Oh,
no. But of course, you've got the key, so...
What key?
Now, don't tell me you left it up there.
Oh, dear.
The fifth awakening is recognizing your undeveloped psychic powers. People who claim to have had out-of-body and near-death experiences describe an other-dimensional world that is held together by unconditional love. Time is suspended, sights and sounds are supernaturally vivid, and communication is all-knowing. Some claim to have experienced flashbacks and remembered everything from their past, while others saw their future in a flash forward. They felt that all beings were interconnected and part of the same soul experience. But what exactly is a soul? Atheists claim they have two souls, one on each foot, while non-atheists, on the other hand, believe that the soul or spirit is the I that inhabits the body and acts through it. Without the soul, the body is like a light bulb without electricity, a computer without the software, a spacesuit without the astronaut. Where is the soul or spirit located? Is it hidden deep inside your body? Is it separate from your body? Is it trapped in this material world? Since the soul is invisible, how do you even know it exists? Like the wind or feelings of love, you can't see the soul, but you know it's there because you experience it. Everything in creation possesses a spark of consciousness, which can be defined as soul. From a ladybug to a majestic mountain, everything has a soul consciousness and connectedness with everything else.
You're listening to the sound of plants communicating.
Back in the 70s, there was a lot of research about plant consciousness, and some of this had to do with the fact that plants reacted to signals that were coming from other plants, and these could be detected very much like the sensors we have here. In fact, Clive Baxter was a man who had it was a lie detector equipment, wired plants up, found that one plant that wasn't wired up would react to harm that the plant that was hooked up, and vice versa. So you had this plant symbiosis of signals, something like perhaps it's some field phenomena happening between plants. He even went so far as to hook up shrimp that were on a timer, and at a certain point the shrimp would fall into scalding water, and the scalding water, they would die immediately, and the plant on electroencephalogram would go, rah! You know, it's just the signal would go crazy. They'd be screaming, essentially, feeling the demise of the shrimp.
Clive Baxter wrote Primary Perception about the secret life of plants. His experiments reveal that plants have consciousness. Even the living vegetables that you dice up and munch on react dramatically to loving or threatening thoughts. Your thoughts are also known to influence and change subatomic particles through observation, and they can influence the cell activity and health of your own body. How powerful are your thoughts? Have you ever asked yourself how thousands of stones weighing 30 to 50 tons were cut from Egyptian quarries, moved hundreds of miles, then carved, erected, and positioned within fractions of an inch of each other to form the Great Pyramids? Imagine moving 50-ton rocks without computers, calculators, drills, explosives, lasers, forklifts, cranes, or steel cables. How was it done? With the power of focused imagination. Telekinesis is not only the ability to move objects with the power of thought, but to physically manifest what you want. The pineal gland plays a key role in developing this ability. The pineal gland is your third eye. It looks inward instead of outward and functions as a transmitter and receiver of energy. It's a flat, cone-shaped gland about the size of a pea, nestled in the center of your midbrain in a tiny cave right behind the root of your nose. It is light-sensitive, and it has a lens, cornea, and retina. During childhood, your pineal gland reaches its largest mass, but it starts to calcify and atrophy from lack of use as you age. Philosopher René Descartes called the pineal gland the seat of the soul, where your mind and body meet. Many believe this endocrine gland is the gateway to higher realms, and that it's the link between the physical and spiritual realm. Like an atrophied muscle, this unused part of your brain can be strengthened through meditation exercises. The term psychic powers conjures up evil images of black magic, gypsies, witchcraft, exorcists, faith-healing hoaxes, and sorcery. That's the reputation the media monopolies have given to it. Why? To discourage your interest in developing your personal power. Like any skill, your psychic powers develop with regular use, and they atrophy from lack of use. In their book, China's Super Psychics, Paul Dong and Thomas Raphael describe the amazing psychic abilities of gifted children, sometimes referred to as the indigo children. America's Omni magazine got involved when gifted children were being tested. They soon became convinced that the children's abilities were entirely real. In one case, a child placed a coin on a tabletop next to a sealed jar. Witnesses watched in amazement as the coin passed right through the glass into the sealed jar. In another case, 1,000 people sitting in an auditorium were each given a rosebud to hold. A 6-year-old girl came onto the stage, and with the silent wave of her hand, the 1,000 rosebuds slowly opened into full bloom before the eyes of the astonished audience. When you discover that you can move something with just the power of your imagination, you prove to yourself that you can influence matter at a molecular level. The Pong computer game is played with the power of imagination. While sensors register the electrical activity of their brain, players move the bar on the screen and deflect the ball with nothing more than their imagination. Everything must first be imagined before it can become manifest. Imagination, said Einstein, is the preview to life's coming attractions. Without it, nothing in our world could have been invented, and nothing would have been possible, not even you. Your very existence is the result of a sexual encounter between your parents, which had to first be imagined. The world was created through thought energy, and it can be recreated through thought energy. Right now, you may be doubtful, and you're probably asking yourself, how can I recreate the world with just my thoughts and imagination? I'm only a drop in the ocean. Yes, you're a drop in the ocean, but the ocean is in every drop.